Hello, how are you? This is live talk with T&E, tech talk with T&E.
Tech Talk with T&E.
Sorry, I'm a little scrambled this morning. We just got back from our trip last night and this morning. Well, Monday morning. Welcome Monday morning.
Happy Monday.
Exactly. So anyways, welcome and thank you for coming. We encourage you guys to like and share and do all the stuff we ask you to do so we can help spread the word on this podcast. It is every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to be releasing a schedule this week so we can tell you some of the guests that we have upcoming. But this one we wanted to do kind of off the cuff. We just decided to do this yesterday. But last week we got to attend a mastermind put on by LeadSnap and Rank Masters. Same three guys: Patrick Shannon, Jeff Howell, and Chris
Moore.
Chris Moore. And it was, I don't know, it was crazy. So anyways, to premise this a little bit, Elisabeth and I, since January, have been on a track to double, hopefully triple our agency this year. And when we started looking at all the different variables of an agency, you have your online or your incoming pipeline, you have your sales process, you have your fulfillment process, and then obviously you have your renewal process to keep people on board. But one of the things that Elisabeth and I have not had a good process for is the incoming, the filling the pipeline with leads on a consistent basis. And we've tried Facebook ads, we've tried some, Google ads, had some success with each, but nothing that we could kind of forecast a business model of, where are we going to be at in 2 months, 3 months? When do we need to start hiring more employees for this forecast? So, with that being said, we became very, very specific this year about the events that we're attending. They're all great events. They're just incredible events. But for us, we wanted to take more of a streamlined approach to build the areas of our agency that we were weak in. So part of that is going to these LeadSnap Masterminds. And this is actually the second one we've been to this year. I've been to. I went in February in Orlando. Of course, just blew me away. But Elisabeth wasn't with me on that trip. So it wasn't like we could share at the same time we were learning or talk about it after the sessions. So the big piece of that was missing. So when Patrick invited us to come in this one in last week up in Gatlinburg, we were super excited, mainly just because I knew the stuff that we were getting ready to do was the area of our agency that we needed to build on. So with that being said, Elisabeth, go ahead. Let's talk about it.
So I would say it's not just been this year that we've really kind of been focused on growth. We've always been focused on growth. But as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you're pulled in 23 different directions at one time. And so we've had pockets of time over the last 12, 13 years where we're like, yeah, we need to do this. We want to do this. We want to implement this. This is great. And then we get pulled in a different direction and we get pulled in a different direction. And then, you've got your everyday day-to-day running of the business. And so, we have been actively, I would say for the last 3 years, hardcore actively trying to find what was missing, because you don't know what you don't know. So it's not like you can clearly articulate, hey, I need this, this, and this, and you've got your checklist. And there was a lot of things we didn't know. And so that's one of the journeys that we've been on with integrating ourselves in different networks and going to different events and hosting our own events, so that we could try to see what clicked, what resonated. I'm absolutely blown away by Rank Masters. And I have to say that because that I feel like is that puzzle piece that we were looking to connect into. So many different things. Like I feel like overwhelmed with oh my gosh, how can I gush? How can I show all the love? And how can I adequately describe and articulate what we found? So I pulled together a little bit of an outline so that I can be intentional with sharing with everyone what I thought. So the overview, the background, I don't know the entire history of Rank Masters, and that's something that is outside of my wheelhouse, but I can tell you about my experience. So yes, you went to the one last or February, and you loved it. You were blown away, and you're like, "This is amazing. This is awesome." And I'm like, "Okay, great. Tell me about it." And you're like, "It was just great. It was amazing. It was awesome."
Yeah, I am not the best note taker in the world. I will plainly admit that.
Right. And so by me going, my expectation was this is going to be great. This is, high quality content that was shared, right? So that was the only thing I walked into it knowing or understanding or having a comprehension of. And one of the things that really, I would say, hit and solidified for me, like, I have great friends in the industry and in SEO everywhere, and it's awesome. But I feel like the level of connection, the sharing, the integrity, that was something that very much resonated with me. This community is very intentional and wonderful. Like, I'm gushing. I'm totally fangirling. I know it. I totally know it.
But I do think it's at the perfect time or a great time in our agency. I mean, if there had been definitely times on our agency to where we might have been more focused on the fulfillment side, more focused on, client retention, which is part of this also. But I just think it was, and the information that was given was just like mind blowing. It's, we've done 12 events since we've been doing SEO events, and
Yeah.
we've had great speakers come in. We've had great people come in. Some of these speakers were at this Rank Masters event, but it was just more intimate. It was a more mastermind setting. There wasn't 150 people, which we love, but it was 20 people, 25 people, whatever it was. But it was, and we hung out in the same house for 4 days and really got to know each other. Really got to share, and yeah, it's just killer community or great community. I can't say
Well,
the game.
one of the things, like our events, I assume people know SEO spring training. We've done masterminds in multiple different locations. Because we were putting it on, I don't feel that I could fully participate. I'm
Exactly.
too busy looking at logistics. Okay. Is everybody happy? Is everybody getting what they need? Is everybody getting fed? What's going on behind the scenes? So a lot of times, and those of you that like have seen me at my events, like sometimes I do spin out a little bit, but I'm absolutely focused on making sure every attendee knows and feels that we value them being there. Okay. So with that being said, there's a lot of details. So I don't always, like, spring training, I don't always get to sit in on the breakouts or the sessions. And as I'm sitting, I'm watching, scanning the room to make sure everybody has everything they need, answering questions, all of that. So the value for me in this was I could actively and interactively participate and not have to stress or worry about everything. So of course, that's great for me. So I don't want to take away anything from our events and what we put on, because I feel like we are very intentional with providing a transformative experience. I want people's businesses to explode and be amazing because of some little nugget that they learned at our event. Like, that makes me really happy. I want to be that person next. So here I am. But so, it was in Gatlinburg. So we got away from all of our day to day. We got away from our business. One of the things that, like, I'll go through and pick out a few little awesome things. It was made very clear from the very beginning. Chris Moore said, I want you to put your laptop away. I want you to work on your business, not in your business. And as any entrepreneur can tell you, the phone, the emails, they don't stop coming just because you're like, hey, I'm getting some, additional education. Give me a minute, right? And you don't want it to stop. You still want leads to come in. You still want fulfillment to take place, and all the things. But, if you're not structured correctly, which is something that we learned, then yeah, you've got to set that stuff aside. You've got to, feed and nourish yourself before you can feed and nourish your employees and your clients. So
yep,
that
yep.
was, that's the very biggest thing that it started with, so target audience of the conference and its main objectives is to obviously help business owners grow. And I feel that the agenda, the schedule, the speakers was all very, very intentional and structured for an agency owner. It's not an SEO mastermind or anything to teach a ton of fulfillment, but because you have to have your foundation. You have to have your structure first. Who is your company? Who are you serving? Who is your target audience? And if you know all of the absolute high level structural things, your foundation, then you can expand and grow and build from there. So, most of the speakers, I would say half of them, I kind of already knew being in the industry for a while. People that have spoken at our events, Travis Weathers was there. He was talking about agency growth. Gave a lot of deep insights on what he measures, what he tracks, and what he looks at, how he approaches things, which is great. He's a very successful agency owner, very specialty niche,
Yeah. He was also one that I didn't get to see at spring training. So
yeah, I didn't either. I really didn't either. And so super dynamic, awesome presenter. Like, a lot of times you'll sit through something and whether the subject matter is relevant to you or not, how they present makes a big difference. And obviously Travis is a great guy. He's very engaging and, kept us with him throughout the whole thing. Nobody's mentally drifted off. It was a lot of fun. It was very deep. It was a lot of great content that to help us think of things differently for our agency, which was brilliant, but, fun and engaging,
Well, speaking of which, he opened the conference.
Yes.
Patrick opened the conference with org chart detail. And this is something that I've known. This is our third business together. I went through org chart stuff even in the Navy. But the org chart stuff that Patrick gets into was really deep. It was really kind of pulling everything out of your head and putting it on a piece of paper and then putting it in the right bucket to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's actually the first thing Elizabeth and I are going to work on this afternoon, and I'm excited to do it because this is where it's a brain dump. It's a total brain dump, and then organization, organize it, prioritize it, implement it, and so Patrick, it was awesome. And Patrick talked a little bit about that also before, but it was, I don't know, again, it's, it resonated this time, just because we've been hiring employees for the past 2 or 3, past month.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see this process especially as we're growing. But it was a great way to open the conference as far as you have to be organized. You have to organize what your business is. If you are just hiring people to put people in place, then and you don't really have any plan, then it really just becomes a web of chaos, so to speak. So.
Well, and I think a lot of it is throughout our journey as entrepreneurs, sometimes things come to you and happen when you're open to receive them.
For sure.
And like you said, an org chart is nothing new or innovative.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the depth of his presentation kind of showed it to us in a different way. And a lot of the things that he discussed about his employees and his KPIs, it resonated, and So granted, it may not be like a topic that everybody thinks about and oh yeah, I got my org chart done. It's like, well, do you really? You know what I mean? Like, and we've had org charts in Salterra for forever, but you know, it's a little different, you know.
It is.
One of the things Jeff Howell presented on synergy between sales and operations, you know, that was really great because you have to have everybody communicating. You know, everybody needs to know a little bit about where everybody's at, even just from like a 50,000-foot level, just so that it's a cohesive team. And I thought that was really great.
Exactly, because that's always been the big hiccup for even Salterra is that transition from a successful sales over to the fulfillment team and making sure that both parties knew the entire project. There was no questions. The synergy had to be there for the handoff. If it was a project manager still involved on the sale, I mean, however it was structured, everybody needed to be put in the loop of the goals for the project, you know, all that stuff. And we've done that to a good point in Salterra, but as we hire, we want to make sure that we're continuing to even expand that communication so everybody understands. You know, these are the goals, these are the tasks, this is why, and that resonated also.
Well, and also because we have to have cohesion between like we have SEO side and we have the web side. And so we have to have that overlap, you know, because we've moved people like content used to be only SEO. Well, I brought it over into the website because, you know, it's foundational from when you start with your website. Yeah, on a brand new website, we do integrate blogs from the beginning, whether the client wants a blog or not. Like that's part of the build, you know. And so then that can carry over to SEO. But like we have to communicate. You and me, not you and I set the precedent, but our team members as well. I want my team to feel like, hey, if they have a question about the project from the SEO side, that they are free and able to get those answers, you know. And I think a lot of it is the company culture. You know, we have to also, and that was a quote that Chris Moore was talking about when he was saying you have to realign the culture of what success means. And that and that's like as a whole, this whole organism that is Salterra, you know, Team Salterra, yay. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean for us to be successful, and how can we do that? You know,
Sure.
In our industry, we track massive volumes of data. But are we tracking our own internal data at the same level that we're tracking for our clients? And that's a huge thing because we are always all about how can I deliver the absolute best value for my clients? Am I tracking every single click, every single call, every single conversion? We have to flip that on ourselves as well. So
For sure. You know, and also along those same lines, one of the things that, again, if you scale these things, you know, 1 to 5, you know, we're probably a 4 here, but teaching and helping other people also, you know, you have to work on your agency every day. You have to go and, you know, put aside a first hour of every day. You're going to do nothing but stuff for your agency. You're going to check and make sure that people are paying their bills. You're going to check and make sure that your websites are up and working. You're going to check mobile. What does your website look on mobile? Because we all sit on desktops all day long. So,
right.
and that's a huge thing. And we've learned that actually from the negative. We've lost some sites because we weren't keeping an eye on them, because we haven't been checking on them. And now it is part of our SOP to make sure that our assets are there. They're still, you know, they're still doing what they were designed to do, which is also part of this whole synergy thing. Which who's going to do that? Is the web team and the hosting team going to do that? I mean, so all that type of stuff has to be communicated with all the people that need to know about that stuff.
Right.
So, but and then it was Travis. Travis came up and, you know, again, I missed his presentation. He was actually the #1 rated speaker at SEO Spring Training, because we do a survey and everything at the end. And I was so bummed I didn't get to see it. And he actually lives by us here in the Phoenix area. But to see not only what he presented, but the enthusiasm on which he presented it was just a great way to start the ball rolling. So, and it was really captivating. It was really kind of, wow, never thought of that type of stuff. But yeah, talk about Travis's, Travis actually spoke twice.
He did. He did speak twice. And I know that at spring training, I didn't catch his presentation, but Moraylin came back and she's like, it was amazing. It was awesome. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And then at the Rank Masters event, he really dug in deep on QuickBooks. And, I have a tendency, I'm the creative and I'm on the website, and numbers are really not my jam the way they are yours, but he gave us a perspective to dig in and question everything. Don't just take your bookkeeper's word for where that needs to be categorized. Let's look at your overall agency and is that really the right way to do it? And gave a ton of insight on that. And a lot of it was his own personal learning curve. So, I absolutely appreciated that.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we're dealing with that now. We're actually switching banks. So, and we've been with this bank we're leaving for 20 years. So,
yeah, since 1998, I think it says on my debit card. I've been a customer since 98. And like, you guys out there in the audience, don't slam me for this. It's hard to change banks. You're ingrained, you've been there for so long.
Yeah, and we just got fed up with the current situation, and we wanted more flexibility on how we move money around, how we keep money in certain places. And Travis's stuff that he went through with what numbers are we actually tracking, and that was for me, as I'm the numbers guy in the group. And so for me to sit there and see what he's tracking compared to what I'm tracking, it was night and day.
Yeah.
And we do have, we have a pretty good spreadsheet. We do budgets versus actuals. So we do some stuff that I think we're going to kind of switch around to get a better number, a better snapshot. But that was actually my second biggest takeaway from this entire week is know your numbers. And not just know your numbers in capital letters. I mean, you have to do this.
Exclamation points and periods and stars and underline. Yeah.
And it's something that is just, when you look at it, you can find waste, you can find stuff, I mean, Elisabeth and I, we've talked about this before in our events that, twice a year we go to a local hotel and we go in there, and sometimes it's a great weekend. Sometimes it's a not so great weekend because we're talking finances. That's all we're talking about, but we always find room to save. We always find stuff that we're paying for and not using. We always find stuff that we're paying for, especially around domains and hostings. We used to have hundreds and hundreds of domains and hosters. And so now we go through this very particular, do I need this domain and hosting anymore? Do I need this tool? Are we even using this? And so we encourage you guys as you're building through your agencies to check that stuff. Check it on every 6 months, every quarter, whatever, but just make sure that you're tracking the waste, the spend that, it adds up. These $39 a month things, and you've got 10 of them.
Shiny object syndrome, and it creeps, and you're like, oh, like everybody is talking about the newest, the best, the greatest tool, and it's going to revolutionize your life and your business. But I think the best tool is your own accountability with your finances,
For sure. Yeah.
So,
and it is the first time we did this, we found almost $3,000 a month in wasted spend.
Yeah.
And it freaked us out. It was like, that's 40 grand. That's an employee. That's whatever it is that we could have done differently than just have it just be flushed down the toilet every month on software that we weren't using, or we bought and never used, that type of thing. So, great thing about Travis. He really freaking opened my eyes. He also talked about lead generation. So, again, this is why we came. We want to fill that front pipeline. And some of the stuff that he does around lead generation is pretty cool. And it's all through and around Facebook. We're not going to get into details because, it's just because it wouldn't be respectful to him. But I've never seen Facebook be used that way. So I'm on Facebook all the time. I'm probably the biggest penalized guy in the industry. Yeah.
You're
But
up there. You're up there.
I've been a good boy for, a couple of years. But I don't know much about what you can do and some of the ideas that you can get from using Facebook as a lead generator. I'm not talking paid ads. I'm talking about using Facebook as a lead generation
Organically.
system organically. And it was just like slap me upside the head. And that was the second presentation the first day, right after Patrick. And
Well, and I get it. Like I'm the strategies are valid. I've seen them. I've used them. Just not to the depth and extent of where Travis is at, and that was great. I mean, it really, it was awesome. So, another really great, awesome, wonderful thing. I know Jeff spoke a lot about, unlocking your monthly recurring revenue with neuroscience. I really think mindset is a huge factor in being an entrepreneur. I think that, so everyone who knows me knows that I am always saying that perception is reality, but it always goes a step further. Perception is created in language. Mm-hmm. What you say evolves and determines what you think, which affects how you act. And so if you're constantly in that lack mindset, then that's what is going to be all around you, because what you think about and what you say is what you focus on. And so there's so many nuances, and that's a whole separate podcast to jump into all of that. But you and I have had a lot of shifts and a lot of changes this calendar year in 2024. I think that the pandemic changed our perception for a lot of things. But growing and evolving from that is really kind of opened up a lot of potential and where we can go and what we can look forward to. I want to touch on Brad Ferris, because he was talking about, obviously scaling and structure, and he had some really amazing things, and it kind of tied into mindset. How do you look at your processes and your employees if you're scaling to a 7-figure agency as opposed to an 8-figure agency? Like, there's a whole lot of nuances that you are going to refine as you get bigger and grow and scale. The agency that is making $10,000 a month recurring revenue, fantastic. You are off to a great start. I support you wholeheartedly. But the things that got you to 10K are not the same things that are getting you to 40K, and it's not the same things that are getting you to 80K. And you have to be able to consistently be aware, adjust, shift, course correct, recalculate. So there's a lot of things that I appreciated in that.
One of my favorites also was Chris Moore talking about referrals. And we do pretty good with referrals. We don't necessarily ask for them as we should, I know for sure, but we do have people that know people, obviously, like everybody else does. But he taught basically referrals being, on steroids. It really blew my mind as far as, this should be its own area of your business, is referrals. If you're not pumping up that system and finalize or fine tuning that system to get referrals and ask for referrals, and especially people that are in your wheelhouse.
But not in a pushy, aggressive way. It needs to be authentic and intrinsic.
Yeah, for sure. And so that was really eye-opening for us as far as, going after the right referrals and accepting the right referrals. We've all fallen into the trap, like, hey, I've got a buddy, you did great with my roofing company. I got a buddy that has a boot store over in the town. Will you take on as SEO? And a lot of times we say yes, but not realizing that it's a completely different SEO game. So we've pretty much niched down on the SEO side the past 2 years. Well, actually longer than that, but after the pandemic, we had to rebuild some of that section. But there's a vital reason why you do that. And so when you also get referrals, you really don't want to go far outside that bucket. You don't want to all of a sudden now you have you kind of niche down. You're really good at one area, roofing companies, or even, home services. And now all of a sudden you're doing a CPA firm. It's different. And so that was one of the things. And we've known that for a long time. I've even taught on that before, but I never put that in referrals in the same bucket. And
that was okay.
So, yeah, cool.
That's fair. That's fair.
Patrick talked about personal freedom through agency mastery, and that was, basically this is where this is what he did at spring. He kind of taught this at spring training, and this is where we realized that, if you look at you split up between the 4 categories and you put 5, 1 through 5 in each category. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? And this is where we knew we were weak on the front side. We were weak on filling that pipeline of organic leads, or paid leads. I'm not saying that. But just leads on a consistent basis. Not here's a referral or here's a white label, which we do both of them very well, but they're not consistent enough to forecast. So,
yeah.
But
yeah. I know I'm like a total fangirl of Chris Moore, because I feel that, like, he doesn't just talk about things. Like, I feel that he lives it. It's in his core essence of who he is as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So everything that he gives and shares, and super humble, gives freely, shares freely, constantly uplifting everyone. It was something that was total fangirl, I've got to say, but talking about gaining authority and how to become magnetic in the marketplace, which apparently he has mastered, because he is very magnetic, but just about who you are as a person, and does that convey over through your business?
For sure.
And it
basically brand, kind of becoming your brand, branding is all big. I'm all about it. We don't do anything without branding. We don't do anything. I call myself a brand builder. And again, it is about gaining authority. It is about, putting yourself out there, become the face of the business, become, do more with it, take your agency to where people are calling you just because they've seen you somewhere. They saw you on YouTube. They saw you, doing a podcast somewhere or whatever. It's really, it's all about authority. That's even in search engine optimization, it's all about authority. Once you gain the authority, then you have a little bit easier time in doing what you need to do. But if you're just, Terry's plumbing service and I'm a month old, it's going to take a while to start gaining authority, not just for that brand, but just for that service even. So, but yeah, you really want to become to where people are calling you for your services. They've seen you on a podcast talking about something about a service, and it's awesome. Again, it's one of the things.
And that consistency, because they're going to see you on a podcast, they're going to hear about you, they're going to see you on social. What I want to flip to was, we were having a complete candid conversation about a celebrity at a different time in one of our off times or whatever. And we were talking about, I've always liked this celebrity and I thought they were really cool. And somebody had insight for a personal experience where they've interacted with that celebrity, and it was not in alignment with who that celebrity was portraying themselves to be, in society. And I thought, that right there really solidifies the integrity that you have to have. You can't just put on a front. Your brand is not a front. It can't be. Your brand has to authentically be who you are as a person, who you are as a business owner, because people are not stupid. Yeah. They can see through that. They can see when there's, chinks in the armor. And, I know that I don't know the actual statistic, 90% of communication is nonverbal. I don't know the number, but people pick up on things. And if you're not absolutely authentically who you are as a business owner, an entrepreneur, a person, a brand, you're not going to scale. You're not going to, get the referrals. You're not going to get the testimonials. You're not going to be able to be where you really want to be if you're not authentic. And you and I are very, very transparent on that, this
Yeah.
is who we are. What you see is what you get.
Yeah. And it kind of led in right into Lorian.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Lorian, I met him in the February event. He didn't speak. He's one of the best photographer, videographer,
Audio, AV.
just anything minus content. I think he does, but as far as written content, but it was pretty freaking cool. So talk about Lorian, and again, this was his first time speaking, so that was also pretty fun. So
well, you know what? He had a banger presentation. That's all I gotta say.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
It was amazing. Like, watching his team behind the scenes as well as his presentation, absolute authentic, integrity people, the way they interacted with us the whole time. I mean, they were definitely a part of the team, the whole Rank Masters team. And I appreciated everything that he shared. He had a lot of really great insights as far as, having your content plan and how to attract your ideal client, and how to get it out there. We jumped into this podcast like, oh shit, like, okay, well, we're going to do this, not always knowing, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right direction? Do I have all my assets together? We are, well, at least I am. I want to present quality. I am not a spaghetti against the wall kind of girl. Like, I will overthink the heck out of everything to make sure that, okay, well, this is my brand. I want to make sure it's solid. I want it to be professional. I want it to convey who we are and convey our authentic representation. So, but he had a lot of really great information about, go here, do this and do this and do this. And so, hey, he's like, here, I can even give you, a quick home studio setup list, do this,
Exactly.
don't be afraid of it. So he made it very approachable for somebody who hadn't already jumped into it, and very doable. Like, oh, okay, like I can do this. Like, it resonated really well. But again, I really loved seeing them work behind the scenes as well. That solidified a lot of things. Like, yeah, somebody can stand up and present, but if you see them actually doing the work, they were very, very in alignment with what he presented on.
For sure. And it was, like I said, it was very professional. They do very professional work. Like I said, I met them all in Orlando in February, and I was so happy to see them again because they're a class group, and they do take your brand and your message and take it to the next level. And they showed us how to do that, and that was really freaking cool. Because we don't do much in the video space. Like Elisabeth said, we've been wanting to do a podcast. We didn't even hardly know where to start. So I reached out to Randy Rohde and Chris from Legit and all these people that I know have great podcasts, and we got some great advice. But now we need to see what to do after that. Where else does it go after we're done?
Well, and I thought with Lorian, he gave you a really good wireframe of ongoing. It's not like, oh, okay, we'll just get this to start. Well, okay, but isn't there more to it?
Sure.
Again, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And then the final day, oh my God, there was this guy. He didn't really have a structured presentation. He's like, hey, let's just do Q&A and see what happens. So you got up and spoke. And of course, everybody in the industry knows that I am your biggest fangirl, and have been for 22 years. I have always known that you are freaking brilliant, and you know so much, and you care so much. Anyone who has like met you and interacted with you for a couple of minutes knows that you're very passionate. Sometimes that passion is pretty exuberant, pretty forceful. Yeah. But I loved that everybody else loved you like I love you. Well, maybe not like I love you, but everybody else loved the value that you brought, the information you presented, how open and candid you were of sharing. I mean, you've never held anything back. Like, we all know
Yeah,
that. But,
sure.
you know, some of the little whispers in the room were like, wow, oh my God, like, you know, it was great. Because I see that you bring so much value, knowledge, skill, all of that.
Well, it was interesting because when Patrick invited us and he said, "Hey, by the way, do you want to talk about some SEO stuff?" And which I knew I would probably be the only kind of SEO stuff to be talked about. And he asked me what I wanted to talk about. I said, "Why don't we just do a Q&A? Why don't we just do what's stopping you today? Why aren't you able to keep client on board? Why, how much are you charging and what does that include on the SEO side?" And so
Mhm.
it was really cool because especially for me, and when you do speak at a lot of events, they do you want something different each time. But the nice thing about the Q&A is it kind of brings up stuff like, oh yeah, I've never talked about before, and so
It's
you
relevant to the people in the room, because the people in the room are who you're really trying to connect with. And,
Mhm.
you know, you want to give them value. And if you're speaking about a topic that is not relevant to them, then, you know, their thoughts going to drift, their mind's going to drift. But,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, and you did touch on a lot of foundational things, you know, things that people in the room didn't think of, you know, when you're looking at what you need to do for your clients. And I know you're super foundational. Like, you know, you've got to start at the foundation and build from there. You can't come and attack SEO from the side. It's not doing your
Yeah,
brand a service.
exactly. And there's, I started it off by talking about just some of the stuff I've seen through some of the audits I've done the past 6 months. And there's a definite pattern there. I've spoke at it in other events too. But it is going back to basics nowadays. It is going back to your content. It is going back to make sure your content is going to stand above everybody else's content. Because right now there's a wrath of AI content being added to the internet every second of every day. And so when you're writing content for your clients or for your agency, be different, be better, and that's the big message, especially how we started off. And then it was really fun. I mean, I really enjoyed the Q&A thing. I mean, I've been on panels and stuff before, which that's awesome, but not kind of standing up there for 45 minutes or whatever it was, just answering what people were struggling with. And that was
Oh,
really
yeah,
cool. But
that's absolutely the value. Um, I know Chris talked a little bit about your message and how to stand out in a crowded marketplace. And, you know, I definitely tons and tons of notes, you know. Um, it's the digital marketing space is pretty big. There's a lot of people out there that, hey, you know, I can rank your site, I can get you clients, I can do this and I can do that. And, you know, positioning, which, you know, our favorite positioner in the world is Marty Marion.
yeah.
He's always spoken about, you know, how to position yourself to be outstanding in a crowded marketplace. And Chris came at it from a little bit different angle, and it was just awesome, you know.
Yeah,
And
it's really neat, especially like, and Chris owns 16 businesses in different variables. So he comes at this stuff, not just from, an agency point of view, but more as a business owner point of view. You've got to think of your stuff differently. So if you own an agency, that's awesome, but is that all you want to do? Is that all you want to own? Do you want to spread out? Do you want to have multiple income streams? And Elizabeth and I have always, even when we were back in the real estate days, we always knew we had to have multiple income streams. And he takes it to a different level as far as, the messaging and the offer and all this stuff. And I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Chris.
yeah,
When I met him in February, he was one of my favorite people to talk to. Because again, you want to surround yourself with people that like you want to be, and it's very humbling for me. I mean, we've been very successful, especially on the real estate side, and we want to have that same success going forward. And so you got to wrap your arms around people that will, honestly be there to help you, to
right.
coach you. Um, I,
Well, we
I
never want to be the smartest person in the room.
yeah,
I
yeah,
you know, we weren't. There was so much value that was openly and kindly shared with us throughout the event, you know, and I felt embraced. I really did, and that's huge, you know.
100%. And then probably your favorite fanboy there,
Oh
Caleb.
my God, Caleb Dortano. Okay, so anyone that has listened to me knows that I have a love, hate relationship with Facebook.
Well,
And
I mean, to start off with telling them some of our struggles with Facebook.
so our struggles with Facebook, we hired someone.
Facebook ads, by the way.
Facebook ads, yeah. So, you know, Caleb has managed over 18 million in ad spend. So he's got a strong foothold in the marketplace. My experience is I hired somebody and they burned my page, and they burned my page so bad, my personal page, you know. So my business manager with 20 clients in it, my personal page, you know, it was a dumpster fire, and it has been for several years. And I've done everything. I've talked to all the people, and I've tried to get help, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it really soured me on the experience. And I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people have had a similar experience, you know, of having your hands smacked, so to speak.
Oh yeah, I got put in penalty a lot for no reason.
Oh, penalty is nothing, you know. Penalty is nothing, you know. And you, I guess what kind of like really gets me more than anything else is I'm a rule follower. I don't shake things up like you do. I don't put a lot of stuff out there, and then I'm the one that is, you know, penalized. But
Yeah, sure.
you know, I absolutely adored Caleb's presentation because first of all, he broke it down and made it easy to understand. You know, when I already know SEO is completely data driven, it is completely structured, it is completely by the numbers, you know. And to take that application into Facebook, like, yeah, you have to look at it that way. It's not just being social and posting cute pictures and cute memes and cute posts. It is absolutely data driven as well. And to have it broken down, you know, how he structures his campaigns and how he does his testing and what he looks at and how he does it. I mean, I'm telling you, like, everybody knows that I love Brian Cotto and his sheets, but I'm telling you, Caleb may have inched him out just a little bit from some of his spreadsheets. I was like, holy cow, that is a sexy spreadsheet. Like, you know, I was impressed. I was very impressed. And so, yeah, I mean, all the things Caleb, I guess. It was awesome. It was really awesome.
It was cool.
A couple of things, you know, the last day was what they call the wisdom circles, and they grouped us together randomly. And I mean, I think it's random. I'd like to hope it's random. You and I were in separate groups, and it was just, you know, 5 or 6 people. Okay, where are you at? What are you struggling? How can I help you? What do you need? Kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, do you have suggestions for me as well? You know, we've not been shy of saying we don't have a sales team. We need a sales team, you know, and that's where we're at. You know, fulfillment.
And that was really cool at our table, because one of the things that we struggle with is what to pay salespeople, how to pay salespeople. There's so many different ways to do it out there. There's commission only, there's base plus commission, there's, you know, bonuses, there's all kinds of stuff. And one of the gentlemen at the table actually was the last speaker of the day, which I'll talk about here in a second. But he kind of gave me a different insight on how to pay salespeople. And I just really thought it was, you know, like one of those things going, wow, that's pretty interesting. So, but it was one of the things. What's that?
Was that Spencer?
That was Spencer. And but it was really cool because it gave me a smaller audience to say, hey guys, this is where I'm struggling with, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it in a 30 people group if I don't want to. This is a smaller group. Everybody's designed to help each other. I don't know. It's one of my favorite times. He also did this in Orlando. And it was really cool. But this, I don't know, again, it was, one of the things I looked forward to on the second day. And then, Patrick talked about how to score this, kind of like this whole mastermind. They give us a workbook, and obviously you're making notes and you're scoring stuff as you go through each day and each speaker and stuff. Yep. Um, but at the end, Patrick teaches you how to put all this stuff into scorecards for action.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why Elisabeth and we have our scorecard for action now. We're going to go, and this afternoon we're going to start on one of those scorecards. And when we knock out that one, we're going to go to the next one. And then, and he made us, all set goals, and more importantly, the punishment if we don't meet the goals, that type of thing. And that was really cool too. Again, this whole group, and we'll talk about rank masters at the end, but this whole group's focus is on ensuring that everything you struggle with is taken care of. And we do that in the spring training and our conferences and masterminds too. But again, for Elisabeth and I to be able to sit back and enjoy the content and to, really absorb the content, because like she said, we're running around like crazy at our events, like most people do when they host it. But it was just really refreshing to see the stuff even that I saw in Orlando, and then have Elisabeth with me to just now we're setting goals right that second. I'm typically, off doing something else. And, I really like the networking part of it, talking to people individually. So it was really cool. What was the other one? You said you had a couple from the second day.
My takeaways, or
no? Okay, so I probably did. I probably covered your insight game planner. So, anyway, so the end of the conference, they do awards. Okay, so Rank Masters is a group that you have to be interviewed to be allowed in. The cool thing, I won't put the link up yet because I don't want you guys to bail until this part. But the last person has been with the group originally. He came in, I believe, around the 20K a month mark, and just really struggling. Like a lot of us, he was all over the map. He was taking on different clients in different areas and really not having any kind of, set whatever niching down, or even a broad niche that you can kind of control a little bit about. Then he came into Rank Masters, and the three coaches, Jeff, Patrick, and Chris, they really take you under the wing. They have weekly meetings. They have weekly, question sessions. There's a couple different levels of Rank Masters you can belong to, because obviously the content at the 10K level is completely different than the content at the 50K. So, and the instruction, obviously. So, but this last gentleman, Spencer Hart, had been there since, that very initial stage, and he got his 7-figure award. It actually is a pretty crazy story. His presentation was tear jerking, the whole 9 yards, but it was really cool to see. I've seen this before. Josh Nelson's got a great group. There's some great mastermind groups that celebrate certain levels. But this one was kind of unique. It was their first one. Now they've got like 3 or 4 people that are right behind this, which is really cool. But it was neat. Obviously, Spencer didn't know about this award because it was the first one ever given. But it was really neat that he got to tell his story and how his growth happened. So people could be interested in basically have that good feeling that this is a group of people that are going to help me. This is a group of people that's going to take me to any level I want to go. They're very humble. Nobody's going to say that some person's $100 million, some person's $50 million. They don't go into that. They just teach you what you need to do to succeed. And then they even take you and they sit down with you one-on-one and say, let's look at your Facebook ads. Let's see how we can optimize them right now, right here, right now. And that just blew me away during the after time, because we're all staying in this big mansion in the hills of Gatlinburg, which is awesome. But everybody's in their little tables. 2 or 3 people are around a laptop, and Chris, and it was always Chris and Patrick, and I did some, and Spencer did some, and we're just one-on-one, one-on-three teaching, helping. And that was really freaking cool. So anyway, Spencer got up there and talked. The guy's he's had a rough few years without a doubt, but he never gave up. And that's the thing that was so cool about his message is he never gave up. And
your mindset. Your mindset and how you approach things. The world is not out to shit on everybody, even though sometimes it feels like it. Life is happening for you. How can you pivot? Because growth is not just a linear. It's not just straight up. We all know it's up and down and sideways and left. And so, being able to maintain your center and your presence of mind to get through the hurdles, to get past the bumps, speed bumps or mountains, you never know. So
for sure, and so, if you want to see, again, there's a few groups that I really highly recommend. So if you want more information, reach out to me. But this is the group that will really walk your hand to success if you are going to do what they tell you to do. That's obviously all the time. But there is an interview process, so you can't contact Elisabeth or I to get in. We're going to send you to somebody else to go through the interview process. And they do this for a specific reason. And actually, it's one of the reasons I like this group is because they don't accept everybody. Because, if you're not committed to growth, first of all, they don't want your money. I mean, they're not doing this for the money. Elisabeth and I, all the events that we do, we don't do it for the money. We want to help people. And that's the reason why they have an interview process. So if they don't feel you're committed to growing, they'll ask you to come back when they or you or whatever feel like you're ready to grow. Don't join the group if you want to, if your focus is still on ranking websites, if your focus is still on the SEO world, keyword research and all this stuff. Yes, some of that stuff's taught in that group. But this group is designed to take you personally and your business personally to whatever level you want to go. And one of the reasons I'm adamant about it. I tell you, I know a lot of people in this industry, and I've seen a lot of people's systems and a lot of people's groups and stuff. And I like a lot of them. But for me and for Elisabeth and our current stage in life, this is the group that we need now. We might not needed this 5 years ago when we were still worried about the fulfillment side, the SEO.
We weren't ready. Our headspace was not there, So
for sure. Hey, tell them Terry sent you. It might get you a leg in. I have no idea, but
maybe not.
Maybe not.
I don't know that we have. No.
But no, I was just, the whole thing is, but we really wanted to do this podcast because it was. We did one, after a recap of spring training, but, so we like doing these things. But this one was, like I said, it was different because it hit Elisabeth and I different because we were at a different stage than we've ever been. Like I said, we're focused this year. I'm turning down speaking events, not because I don't want to go speak at events, it's because I'm staying focused with what my original goal was, is to double or triple the size of our agency. But we're still events that I'm going to go to that I'm adamant about, that I love the people putting them on. I like the speakers that are coming to them because I know I'm going to learn stuff from them. So it's just that, this one was different because, again, we're agency growth. I didn't go to this mastermind to learn how to rank my plumber better. That wasn't the thing.
Well, and our goal for networking wasn't, I want to get business out of this. I know sometimes that happens. People go to events and they're like, if I don't walk away with, a certain amount of business from this event, it's not a good ROI. And I get it. I totally get it. But, we were there for very selfish reasons. We, need things for our agency. How can I get help and support from someone that I know, like, and trust, that I know is not going to steer me wrong? And that was a big caveat for us. Like, I'm not going to air my dirty laundry with a group that's going to take advantage of it or use it against me.
And exactly right. I mean, it's just, this is a very trustworthy. I've never felt to be in a place that I could give freely because I know I was going to get the same in return. It's not like that was the intention, It's just that some of these events you go to and, you get around people and 4 or 5 at the table are keeping their mouth shut and don't share anything. And that, this one was different. And, which you guys all know, we encourage the networking side. I mean, we specifically have our events like Patrick did for networking, so, but yeah, it was take a look at Rank Masters if you're in that place to grow your agency, or your agency's at a certain level and it's been at that spot for a while, or you're ready yourself to improve your brand, your personal brand. I've been working on my personal brand for about a year and a half now, and I've gotten speaking invites for it. So it works. It's great. But it's all the things that you need to do as an agency owner that there's so many moving pieces, especially when you get up, in the higher levels, and you've got to think about who you're hiring. What's the purpose of this hire? Can we automate what we're getting ready to hire for? So there's all kinds of things that we've got to look at from a level, and it's just really awesome to pick up the phone or text somebody and say, "Hey, I've got this idea. What do you think?" And I have those type of friends all over the place, which, of course, we all talk and communicate together. But I think in the growth phase, I think it gets a little bit more personal. I mean, it was hard
has
for
to be.
me.
It has to be personal because we can't let our ego get in the way of our common sense.
For sure. And that was the thing for me. I mean, it wasn't tough. I mean, the VIP day, the very first day, which was a lot of fun. The VIP day, I had a guy come up to me and says, man, I've seen you around everywhere. What are you doing here? And it seemed weird to tell him, well, I'm here because I don't have any organic leads coming in on a consistent basis. That's why I'm here. Do we get leads all the time? Sure. But they're not consistent.
They're not predictable.
Exactly. They're not anything Elisabeth and I can come through and say, forecasting wise, that we should get this many consistent leads every month. We should have this many consistent closes every single month. And now, as an agency, we can start forecasting where we should be at certain times. And if we're not, why?
Yeah.
So, it's like I said, this was a very specific week for us. It was, again, I still, we didn't hardly sleep last night. And, I love that excitement about it because now it's stuff that, I'm not dealing with how to rank in Google, something that, obviously none of us have really any control over. Obviously, there's steps you have to take, but the growth of our agency, we can have a little bit of control over. We can look at our numbers and we can say, we need to fix this. We need to implement this. And this Rank Masters group is not only did that for us last week, but is doing that for us in the future. And so, please, I encourage you guys, take a look at your agency, take a look at your numbers, figure out where you're at and what you want to do. And if you're ready and willing and able to grow or want to look at growing, talk to these guys, let them tell you what, hey, I think you've got all the possibility in the world. It could be a personal thing. I mean, people struggle. They go through life stuff, and life stuff just kicks them in the ass. And, so that's the thing that these people are so good at, is they have, empathy to help. I think is the cool thing, is that, they don't judge, they will help. We all make mistakes. Patrick's the first one to stand up there that, he's made so many freaking mistakes and lost so much money, which we all have, but again, we wanted to have this podcast just to kind of give you guys just a little overview of last week. We didn't want to get into specifics, obviously, because of the content that was delivered, but these are the type of events that you need to go to if you're at certain stages in your walk. Okay. If you love link building, go find a link building conference. If you want to get more deep into AI, go to Holly's AI conference. Go to these conferences that are specifically with what you want to do. And then you can, go to spring training, you can meet different people, and then now go and find different groups to be involved with. So, again, conferences and masterminds are a great thing, but you have to have a goal while you're going.
Yeah, don't just be a conference junkie. I mean, yeah, it's fun to hang out with your friends and see everybody, and I absolutely love that part of it because I have some really great friends that I feel like I can call them. Hey, I have a question. Hey, I need something. I have solid people. But for what I need for my agency, I mean, I need to have that resource as well. I need somebody that I can call up and say, hey, you know, let me bounce some ideas off of you. Can you help me strategize? You know.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, we're a little bit over an hour now. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was different. You know, like I said, I critique a lot of things. We critique our own conferences after we get done with them. But this one, like I said, this one hit home. This was a damn cool week. And again, we're not a perfect agency. I can do a lot of things. I'm known for a lot of things, but if you ask me, can I grow an agency? I'm not that confident because I haven't. We've been lucky. We do great white label. We get a lot of white label requests. We get a lot of referral requests. But again, for me to say that we should get 40 leads this month and close 10, whatever the ratios are, we don't have that in place, and that is so important. So yeah, we will very soon. But that is so important, and it's something that we didn't realize. When some of those referrals start drying up a little bit, or some of the white label requests start drying up a little bit, you look back and you're looking, going, man, we need to get some leads in this place. So yeah, that's why we were really looking forward to it, and it was one of the ones we were excited about for the past couple months, and it way over delivered. It was really freaking cool. So anyways, any last words, Elisabeth?
Nope, not really. It was awesome. Like it's hard to articulate just because like you had gone previously and you're like, yeah, it's great. It's awesome. And I'm like, okay, great. Tell me about it. And you're like, I can't. Like, it was just great.
Yeah, so, for sure.
That's 100%. How I feel like now. Like, I just, I want to thank everyone. And there's people I met this weekend that like I didn't mention, they didn't present, but I feel like I've walked away with so much value from everyone I interacted with. Everyone at all the different stages of their journey, like just some amazing people that, we sat around, we hung out, we ate with them, we drank with them, like not a lot of drinking, but
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. But and you know what? Like freaking Gregory and Brian, like I've been to so many events with Brian Hong and Gregory Ortiz, and I had a chance to really sit down and connect with them. And that was awesome for me. Like, like people that I've known for years. And it was great. Again, I'm gushing, I'm fangirling over all my peeps, but it was really a great event. And I am so thankful and appreciative that we were blessed to be among the group.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. So anyways, thank you, Chris, Jeff, and Patrick. We had a great time. We will definitely be together in the future, but it was go check these guys out. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next Monday, where we're going to have Chris from Legit on, one of our favorite people. And thanks. Yeah, great week. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.